Okay, we're going to start the meeting. This is the Farmington Town Board meeting for May 13th. And the first thing on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Tim, would you lead it, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tim. We don't have any public hearings tonight. Approval of the minutes, we have two, a special town board meeting that we had on April 8th. And the regular town board meeting, April 26th.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Mike. Any comments, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. And privilege of the floor, first item on the agenda for privilege of the floor, be a school budget presentation by Dr. Tim Terranova. And he's obviously is the superintendent of Victor Central Schools, with Christine is joining him also.
Thank you, Supervisor Inglesby, and yes, I have Christine Griffin here with me. She's our Assistant Superintendent for Business. And we also have Tim DeLucia, our Board President, with us today as we talk about the Victor Central School District budget. And I appreciate the privilege of the floor, the ability to talk to you. And this will be a pretty quick presentation, but certainly you can ask questions if you have any. This is the goals of the presentation, which we're going to talk a little bit about the budget, expenditures and revenue, and then certainly the calendar moving forward. The budget vote is actually a week from today. We have multiple goals when we develop our budget, and those are consistent over the last few years. We want to maintain the incredible education that we attempt to offer every year at Victor Central School District and make it as comprehensive as possible. We also want to continue to improve the alignment between our strategic plan and the resources and the goals that are tied to the strategic plan, and match those to resources, because we always want to spend money towards what we're trying to accomplish. Financially, we want to keep our reserves stabilized. We really don't want to spend down our reserves to pay for things for next year. We also want to maximize every single dollar spent. Again, we do that by making sure it goes towards our major goals in our strategic plan. We also try to get aid on the expenses as much as possible through organizations such as BOCES, so that we can get aid the following year, which again gives us revenue that we need. And certainly transparency is the biggest focus there. We want to be transparent with the community of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Quickly, I want to show in the spirit of transparency, this is a graph. It's a bar graph of our state aid, since 2007, and the yellow line is our student enrollment during that same time period. And it basically tells a story, and the story is this: and way before 2007, Victor had a significant increase in enrollment. And that enrollment increase really went through all the way through roughly 2013. The challenge was during that time when enrollment was increasing, the state aid was relatively flat year to year. So the district didn't have the revenue through probably, and that's typically 40 to 45% of the total revenue of our district is aid from the state. The district wasn't able to have the revenue to really keep up with staffing for that enrollment. So ultimately, even though the enrollment has not increased since 2013, and in fact, it's been somewhat stabilized, really between, I'd say, 4,450 to about 4,300 kids during those last 12 years. Because we weren't able to add staff during the time when enrollment increased, we became significantly understaffed as a district. In fact, at one point in 2020, we had the third lowest per pupil expenditure of any public school district in the state of New York. So then what happened is we got some good news. As you can see, between 2021 and 2024, state aid finally increased at a rate that was commensurate with our enrollment. In other words, we started to get state aid at the level of enrollment that we actually had for the first time. And so what did we do with that? We added staff between 21 and 24 to have a better staff to student ratio to better support our kids throughout the district. And we did that strategically, knowing that typically state aid is usually revenue that we can count on, at least to have cost of living increases from year to year. So then the challenge is now, which leads to today. Unfortunately, you don't see this on this chart, but between 2024 and this school year, we didn't receive an increase in foundation aid, which is a major portion of state aid. So it went back to being flat. So now we're trying to make sure that we can figure out a way to maintain the existing staff that we already have in a way that doesn't drain our reserves and doesn't put undue pressure on the taxpayer. So that's our situation right now. So to summarize, in terms of what our goals are for next year, we are not increasing staff, nor are we reducing any programming, which is we obviously don't want to do. So we're right in that nice spot where we don't have to add staff, but we don't have to reduce them. However, we are trying to be as efficient as possible. So we might have gaps in certain areas, for example, 6th grade next year, or special education where we need some more staffing. But we're gonna save money and pull staffing from other areas where we might have a reduction, like in 2nd and 3rd grade enrollment next year. So we're able to manage that, which ends up being a net change of 0 in our staffing. Now I'm gonna turn it over to Christine, who's gonna talk more specifically about expenditures.
Good evening. So overall, our budget for next year is gonna be $109,771,405 for an increase of $6.5 million or 6.34%. The bulk of our budget, if you're looking at the revenue or the expense line, the bulk of our expenses are centered around our staffing, which is, you can see in the professional salaries, the support salaries, and the fringe benefits. That represents about 76% of our budget alone, or for next year, it will be $83.4 million, which overall is about a $3.3 million increase, or 4.2% overall between those 3 lines. Our BOCES aid is also going up this next year. You'll see that line, it's going up in kind of artificial looking with that increase. One of the reasons is that we didn't really align our budget lines to our actual expenditures over the years. The actual expenditures have been increasing higher than we actually planned for. A lot of those expenses might hit later in the year. So one of the things we're trying to do for next year is get that budget aligned, try and get our BOCES aid that comes in for those expenditures in the next year to make it more predictable for us. Another significant increase for us was in our contractual line. Really what's driving that went up almost 1.1 million. A big chunk of that is our contract transportation. We've had to contract out our transportation, more of our transportation this year due to staffing struggles that we're having in our transportation staff, the bus drivers. So if any of you want to go out and do some recruiting for us, that would be very helpful. But that went up $520,000 alone in our budget for next year is what we're anticipating. So that's the bulk of that increase. The other 2 big pieces of that are, and you guys probably feel this as well, the utility expenses are going up significantly, and our general liability insurance was another large increase. Those 3 things really make up that large increase. Debt service, that isn't increasing a whole lot, but it is a significant portion of our budget. All that is the bond and band payments for our prior capital projects and our prior authorized bus purchases. Fortunately, we have categories, what we call expense-based aids. That's one of them. BOCES aid is another one. Transportation aid is one. Those 3 things do generate aid in the next year, so we try and capitalize, make sure we're spending money where we can actually generate revenues associated with those items. One of the great things about the Victor Central School District comparatively to other districts is the district is one of the lowest per pupil expenditures in the neighboring counties when you're looking at Monroe, Ontario, and Wayne County. even in next year, now, we don't have the information on the other districts at this point in time to update for 25-26 after the vote. But even comparing to the numbers consistently flat from the prior year, even with us going up to 25,762 per pupil, we're still lower than the other neighboring districts. In fact, in Ontario County, we're about $7,000 per student lower than the average for the county. Taking a look at our revenue, same thing, very similar to prior years. The state did not approve their budget until late. Actually, it was done on May 9th this year, that was done after, I think, 10 budget extenders. However, the district, to meet their deadlines prior to the budget vote on the 20th, we had to approve our budget on April 10th, despite not knowing those numbers. So when we're looking at our revenue lines, we did make an estimate on our state aid, and actually ended up being pretty darn close to what we predicted. So overall, our property taxes, which represents about 60% of our budget, is going up 1.7 million to 60,523,516. That is an increase of 3.04%. That is at the tax cap. It's not exceeding the tax cap. Our state sources, which is our state aid revenue, is going up $1 million, or 2.67%. And as you can, I'll do the math, you can tell that our, two of our major revenue sources of property taxes and state aid are going up more than 3%, and our revenue expenses are going up 6%. We next year are actually utilizing some fund balance from our surplus from this year to help balance next year's budget. Obviously, that's not a long-term solution for us, so we're going to be looking at obviously our expenses next year, aligning our long-range financial plan to make sure that that's not something that we have to do every year. Want me to continue?
Sure.
All right, so budget to budget, and this actually makes my last statement a little more obvious. The 6.34% increase budget to budget with a levy to levy increase of 3.04%. Our tax rate, the true value tax rate, is going up from 12.83 to 13.06, or 23 cents, for an increase of 1.79%. That's the true value tax rate. Obviously, that figure, if you live in the town of Victor or the town of Farmington, what you see on your tax bill might not be that rate. It might be higher or lower, but the school district is in control of one element of the calculation for our tax rate that you'll see on your bill. That is the levy itself. Obviously, the assessments are done by the towns, and the equalization rate is established by the state. So you may or may not see that rate on your bill. Just wanted to make sure that was clarified. So looking at the property, what a tax bill would be on a property of, say, $200,000, the dollar change per year will be about $46 on your tax bill for a 1.79% increase. These estimates do not reflect STAR or any changes to the STAR legislation that might have occurred this year. But the final assessment rolls won't be established until the end of June, as you guys know. And in August, we will have the tax rate set for this. Tax rate comparison to prior to neighboring communities, it still ends, Victor is still one of the lower per tax true value tax rate to the other districts in Ontario, Maine, and Montgomery County. Obviously, even with keeping, again, we don't know what next year will be. I don't have the information from the other school districts for the what their true value tax rates will be. I don't have that information to do that calculation at this time. But even comparing to with the increase that we have, we're still significantly lower than the other averages. And again, this is a trend line showing you where our true value tax rate has been historically since going back to 2000. We're at 13.06 next year. Historically, when the tax rates, when the assessments are done and finalized and the rates are actually established in August, you will see that you will probably see a decrease in that true value tax rate. But one of the things that's driving this, actually two things are driving this, even despite maybe an increase in the levy over the years, a slight amount. However, I think the growth in the community is what's keeping that rate on a decreasing trajectory. Additionally, on the ballot, you're gonna see a proposition for our bus replacement. We do this every year. We replace a certain amount of them to keep them in, keep us transporting our students safe. This next year, we're on schedule for 6 large diesel buses at $213,000 each, 2 small gasoline buses at $124,000 apiece, with an estimated total cost of about $1.5 million. This is actually, we do take, do a ban for these, so we do have payments over a period of time. Again, this is a category of aid expenses for us that generates aid in the subsequent years. So we, our transportation aid is about 76%.
Christine. The other piece to the ballot will be for the Board of Education election. We have 3 openings for 3-year periods, and we have 3 individuals running, all incumbent. Lisa Kostecki, Kim DeLucia, and Elizabeth Mitchell. So the 3 incumbents are running, and they're running unopposed. We already went through 3 of these dates. You all should have received, if you live in the Victor Central School District in Farmington, the budget newsletter that's packed full of information, lots of details, obviously stuff from here, but also more details about our budget. And of course, the big date is a week from today, Tuesday, May 20th, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. is the school budget vote, along with the bus purchase vote and the Board of Education vote. That's from, again, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Early Childhood School Board Room. Also, if for individuals who are listening or want information, just go to our website, victorschools.org. There's a budget section for 25-26 budget. Again, that has a ton of information, including the budget newsletter, plus additional question and answer sections in that website. I would also encourage you to email me at terranovat@victorschools.org, or you can certainly email Christine if you have any questions about the budget for next year. Having said all that, are there any questions from individuals?
Tim and Christine, thank you very much. Questions? I'm not in favor of electric buses, but what does the director of transportation see down the road, you know?
So we've been, under the Board of Education's leadership, we've really been conservative around the purchase of electric buses. So as you see, there are no electric bus purchases for next year. And that's because we don't have the money to pay for them. They're double the price of a current regular bus, closer to $450,000 to $500,000. We also don't believe, based upon the studies that we're looking at now, that the infrastructure is there to actually have a number of electric buses to go through Victor and Farmington and our other areas in an efficient way, and to be able to charge the buses. So we felt, and it's really the board's leadership, that under, right now, to pay, $2, $3, $4 million for electric buses that 3 years from now we may not be using is not a good use of our money towards our resources. So we are all for, supporting the environment, but in addition, we just found out a few days ago that they extended the
Giving waivers for 2 years.
They're gonna give waivers for 2 years to 2029, is it?
So the deadline to start purchasing them was the fiscal year 2027. What they're gonna do, from my understanding is as long as you're working with NYSERDA and you do have a plan in place to move forward, they will allow you to apply for, 2-year extensions. At this point in time, the legislation says they'll allow two-year extensions for that. That they still want you to be moving down that path. So it does buy us a little more time to, evaluate our situation, the infrastructure, not just on campus, but also in the local community, and before we make any decisions.
Questions? One last one, totally not after school budget, but I haven't had time to look up the library budget.
There,
You know what that tax rate is?
Yeah, my understanding is there's no vote on the library. budget.
Correct. The only time that there's a vote on the library budget is when they have a change to their levy. So they did not approach us with a change to their levy, so their levy will remain the same.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much for having. us.
Thank you, and this will be on our YouTube channel in a couple days, for anybody who wants to look at it also.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
everyone.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
It's with the supervisor. Supervisor, could you pull the thumb drive for them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well. It's password protected, so it's, unless you know the password, you're not going to have any use with that thumb drive, but
You didn't memorize?
I did not memorize it.
You typed it in once and didn't memorize it?
Any other public concerns at this time or privilege of the floor? Mr. Drew, how you doing?
Good. Are we still looking into my, situations?
I have,
I mean, I know it'll take time, I know that.
there's been emails back and forth with Greg Hotelling from MRB, who represents Canandaigua. And to tell you the truth, I can't remember his
Been some communication with him and DEC regarding installation of a small extension to the sewer district. There's been some back and forth between him and the state at this point. Clarifying what we can do, what we can't do.
It's good. I even talked to DC myself, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right,
One of the cheaper, you want me to
go ahead.
expand a little bit? One of the cheaper solutions that he's looking at is a low pressure sewer system. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all.
I do a little bit.
Yeah, trying to get gravity from you guys is rather difficult and rather expensive, so the low pressure sewer option tends to be a little cheaper in these situations. But he's going back and forth with DEC on just really more so the potential ownership of the system and how that gets split up between the district and the homeowners, and what we can do, obviously, in efforts to try to keep the costs down for the residents. So we're waiting to hear some information on that, and then we'll be able to get back. Greg obviously has to convey this back to the town of Canandaigua, but then we'll get back to you at some point.
At least we know we're getting into it, so that's good.
Yeah, there's progress, even though you don't see anything just yet, there's progress.
It's been 7 years now, so.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I remember correctly, the property the furthest to the west that's the hardest one.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah, she even thought maybe it'd be a little bit of an issue for her too, so.
But you should hear more either from Canandaigua or us as soon as we hear from the DEC.
I'm going to Canada on board too, so like that.
Yep. All right,
All right, sounds good.
well, thanks for coming in. Anybody online with public concerns or privilege of the floor? Okay, we'll go to standing committees, public works.
Yes, from down at the treatment plant, reported this morning, digester heat exchanger install is complete. They're gonna be working with a boiler heat exchanger specialist to get the system up and running and properly balanced. They completed a flushing of trickling filter number 2. Operator's been working on some organization and cleaning around the plant, specifically the belt press room. They replaced the drive on trickling filter 1. Also reported they had to move the effluent sampler from the sand filter building to the UV building, which is actually the last stage of the process, so good spot for that sampler to be. Still some ongoing work with the UV system, specifically on a hydraulic cylinder. They're looking into a possible repair versus replacement of that. Just mainly due to exorbitant cost to replace those cylinders. We've been reporting lift station maintenance ongoing for several meetings. That continues with oil changes, clearances, belt alignments, just again, ongoing maintenance throughout the system. CP Ward is mobilized on PS5 for work on that. And they're also working on getting some quotes for a rooftop air conditioning unit that's just aged out and corroded. It just sounds like in need of replacement. Just kind of general information, working on a grant with the town of Victor to work on the County Road 9 force main replacement. They have one water main break, Bean Pole Circle, and they also did another water service on Coral Drive as well. 332 Collat Road, the contractor over there has finished the restoration work. That was kind of the last step in that project. And they've been working on cleanup and topsoil and seeding. There's 26 different areas in the fall and winter, early spring, where they had to do excavations, and obviously had to wait till better weather to get that repair and restoration done. 4 resolutions on the agenda. Good news is one of them is to hire a new employee down there, but we can talk about those when they come up. Highway and parks, equipment maintenance is on every agenda. I also did some work on some driveway pipes throughout the town. And tree removal and cut up is becoming an ongoing issue, just with ash trees dying and wet ground and wind. And it seems like it's more and more frequent as the years go on. Last weekend they had their spring cleanup. I'll let Tim kind of maybe talk about that in a little more detail. Obviously, you've been out, you can see the mowers are out doing roadsides. Also, the road sweeper is out. And then they did receive 1 new pickup and also a new telehandler for this year. And they've also been out helping Manchester with oil and stoning now that the construction season has started. Parks, obviously mowing is the big thing in the spring. It's never ending. Striping ball fields, grooming fields, they helped out with the spring cleanup as well. And also some building fire inspections. Did have a roof repair or roof leak at the highway garage that they had to have repaired. And also a leaky sprinkler at the highway garage that had to be repaired. He's got 4 resolutions tonight, and again, one of those is to also hire a new employee. Go ahead.
Good, thank you. On operations.
Operations met this morning. There are 3 resolutions we can discuss as they come up. The local law updates, local law number 3, which is the wastewater treatment site. An update to our wastewater treatment system local law, and the new park and ride regulations were filed with the Secretary of State, and they're now in effect. We have the draft local law regarding the short-term residential rentals like the Airbnbs, and we'll have a resolution adopting that tonight. Still working on some amendments to chapter 144, which is land subdivision, and also updating chapter 165, the zoning laws. Maybe have some resolutions in July, updates to those. The Parks and Rec Master Plan will be presented to the Ontario County Planning Board tomorrow for a referral, and we have the May 28th town board meeting. Have a public hearing regarding the adoption of that. The last thing we discussed, a new proposal for what is that, a Whitestone incentive zoning project. The new owner did reach out to staff, and they, hopefully gonna be presenting a revised concept at the May 28th meeting. Everything else will be on file.
Great, thanks, Nate. Reports of other town officials, supervisor, Tim Ford and I had a second meeting with the Victor Little League to discuss improvements to 2 baseball fields, Grove and Farmbrook Range. Farmington, we can provide in our 2025 budget, baseball backstops and the play for the Grove field. We also have a place for the spoils after tearing out the fields. For that material to come, and our recreation director has agreed not to charge Victor Little League for use of the fields for the rest of this year. They had a board of directors meeting last night, and we are awaiting an agreement to review that so the project can move forward. This morning's public works, we discussed with our town engineers to look at a grant to study the drainage area of Running Brook Drive, other areas in Farmbrook development, to include the property directly south of Farmbrook. Ontario County. I've asked Ontario County Economic Development Office to give us the 2024 job numbers for Farmington commercial properties that are under a pilot agreement. 7 companies have reported a total of 244 jobs created since their individual pilots began. The largest was FedEx property, 140 additional jobs. We did have one of those 7 properties reporting that they were actually down 3 positions. Ontario County Sheriff enhanced law enforcement, traffic control, the report for the month of April reported 32 citations issued on County Road 28, State Route 96, County Road 8, Hook Road, County Road 41, Allen Pageant Road, Beaver Creek, and Collette Road. They did write citations on County Road 28 for 2 people over 70 mile an hour and 2 people over 90 mile an hour in a 55 mile zone. Wayne County Thruway, yeah. From the New York State DOT, we were sent a letter dated April 30th. They've completed a safety survey for the 96-332 intersection. And I'll take a second to read that and request, obviously residents can request a copy from the town's clerk's office. But basically it says, Supervisor Inglesby, New York State DOT professionals have completed a safety review of the intersection of Route 96 and Route 332 in the town of Farmington. The review included a crash history analysis and documentation of roadway characteristics. During the last 3 years, 3 crashes resulted in a fatality. Each crash occurred on a separate approach to the intersection where a pedestrian or bicyclist attempted to cross the highway outside of the crosswalk. During the same interval, rear-end crashes were most prevalent and typically did not result in an injury. However, a pattern of northbound left turn crashes was observed. To help mitigate future crashes, the following enhancements are planned to be implemented this year. Left turns from Route 332 will only be allowed when all conflicting traffic has a red signal. New mast armed signal poles will be installed at the far sides of the intersections. And retroreflective backplates will be installed on all signal heads. Thank you for your interest in highway safety. If you have any further questions, please reach out or schedule a meeting to discuss the review in detail. And this came from Christopher Reed. He's the regional director for New York State DOT. And any questions on that? All that, highway and parks.
Yeah. Spring cleanup this year, or the spring cleanup, we had 522 households use the spring cleanup. Friday was the shredding, 139 people used the shredding. I know electronics was way down from what it normally is. Usually we fill that tractor trailer truck up. I didn't even think it was half full this year. Must be either they're making better stuff or people aren't breaking them. I don't know, but that's the least amount of electronics I think we've ever seen. Took in like 51 tires, 50 Freon units. We collected like $390 in fees on those. What we had. But I was really surprised. I think we only had maybe 2 people show up Saturday for the shredding. Well, I think our advertising got out well on that and people took advantage of it on Friday. I got a text earlier today that the latest saga on the trucks is. So I've been told, and I haven't confirmed this yet, that one of the trucks have been delivered there on 5/5. And the other one was due to be delivered in Harrisville on 5/13. So I did find out they were coming out of Texas, where the trucks come from. And he told me also that the HX, which is our 10-wheeler that we ordered for this year, that one's been moved up. It's now, instead of being built in August, supposed to be built in July.
Oh,
Getting them a little quicker now. Now we can just get the body companies to
yeah,
get quicker, but
put the companies and the power equipment on.
yeah, they're still locked up there and they're way behind. The online auction for our equipment, that's going on right now. The last I looked, the SkyTrack was up to $18,000 on that. So I expect that to go up more before it ends next week. I think it's done next Monday or Tuesday. The auction ends, so hope to have some numbers at the next one. We got the telehandler, got a 0-turn mower that's only at 3,500 right now. We got the man basket that goes with the wall that was at 1,575 for that, and they're supposed to have a plate tamper on there, and I called John to see where it is. I don't see it online. That probably wouldn't have gone for much.
Right.
That one's old. I think my uncle bought that back in the 90s. So.
All right, thank you.
What were they doing on, what are they doing on 28?
So that's
Why
a,
they? Flamethrower in the world.
so that's, they actually did that on the south end last year. So what that does is it actually heats the pavement up. I mean, that stuff's on fire under there when they go over it.
Oh, it's.
Oh, yeah, and there's a lot of smoke coming out of
A
it.
lot of smoke.
And what it does is it heats it up, almost turns it back to asphalt. And then they've got a machine that goes over it. It's got like little teeth on it and it scarifies it all up. And then it lays it right down, back down as a mat. And just,
Do they coat that when they're done with it?
so they didn't do anything on the south end of 28 last year. That's all they did to it. Now, whether, once they get all this done, if they plan on probably oil and stoning over it. Because if you look, they didn't do the shoulders. And if you look on the shoulders, you can see the shoulders are cracked, but that's what they're doing out there. Yeah.
It was weird. I just.
Yeah.
Stove
Oh, yeah.
flames.
Yeah, I saw it last year. It's like, what's on fire over there? But yeah, literally the road's on fire. You
Yeah,
can go across it and there's flames coming out.
Yeah,
the
the
road.
flames are this far up the street.
Right, I'm not surprised New York State allows that process.
Well, they haven't blown up a truck yet.
See, they can't, they were, New York State DOT should use that on Main Street, no,
Yeah.
Main Street in Canada, in front of the courthouse
Everywhere.
and the
Whole
churches.
street.
Everywhere. Yeah.
That's bad down through there, and I think, they always wonder why that's not a state touring route. With Canada Lake being down there and put money through that.
That'd
take
take a lot to fix that street though. You gotta
Close it down. You gotta take it up.
Holes done before.
Thanks, Tim. Town clerk?
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm gonna be going to the town of Victor. This evening, we're gonna be meeting with, BAS about their tax program, and a bunch of us are thinking about wanting to go back to that if possible. And on the 28th, here at Farmington, I'm hosting the Ontario County Municipal Clerk Association, and we have Office of the Aging coming out. Just to give us some programs maybe that we can offer some of the seniors when they come in and they converse with us about personal stuff, and maybe we can direct them in that way. And I also have 3 weddings to officiate in the next 2 weeks.
Love is in here.
So thanks.
Water and sewer, Aaron.
Yeah, other things to report in addition to Steve's summary, our annual water quality report is completed and posted. It is on the town website, physically posted here at the town hall and at the Victor Farmington Library. There will also be a link on the next water billing, that'll take you directly to the annual one. So if you're interested in reading up about the quality of our water, it's available for you to take a look at. In addition to all the topsoil restoration we've been doing, we have been preparing and coordinating the asphalt and concrete repairs that come along with our excavations for water repairs. Looking to get most of those done within the next couple of weeks. All the staff, including myself, attended an annual safety training refresher at Ontario County. Making some personnel changes in addition to a new hire in water and sewer. We're kind of looking at skill sets of some of our guys and shifting them around and utilizing their skill sets in better ways. All of the pressure reducing vault devices in our water system have been serviced. And I've been working on a rewrite of our water rules and regulations, chapter 159. And we've been coordinating quite a bit over the last few weeks with town of Victor on pump stations, the County Road 9 force main repair, and the Park and Dune sewers, and getting those back into good repair.
All right, thank you. Building and zoning, Dan.
For April, we did 137 permits, 380 inspections and 11 fire inspections. We are starting to see with the nicer weather, increase in building permits being issued, which is coinciding with our new software that should go live at the end of the month. So it is up on our website. It is still some tweaks to work out, but there are people already using it. So we are definitely moving forward.
Yeah, great. Planning board, Adrian.
Yeah, at our next meeting next week, we have a public hearing on a single family home on Turner Road. And a 2-lot subdivision on Sand Road for the Gerlach family. Then a bunch of applications that we need to deem complete to move ahead at our next meeting in June. Solar on Payne Road, Villager on Loomis, and a subdivision on Ellsworth Road, so staying busy.
All right, thanks. Ron, Director of Planning and Development.
Yes, the town operations report was posted today on the website and distributed. In the interest of governmental efficiency, I'll encourage everybody to read it. That's all I have.
Thanks, Ron. Town engineer, Bill.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. Pete, you mentioned already be looking at the stormwater engineering planning grant as well as the parks engineering planning grant to start trying to position the town for some funds for those projects. Award is on tonight for Cranberry Drive, road and water reconstruction. So that'll be moving along into construction. We did get approval from the Department of Health on Route 332 water main replacement project. So we'll have a schedule to go to bid for the next board meeting for that. And seeker is on the agenda for the wastewater treatment plant, right? So that's it.
All right, very good. Under the assessor, she was working here late tonight and again on Saturday, in case anybody wants to come in and talk to her. She's done over 300 interviews with residents already on their assessments. Historian, nobody here tonight. Recreation, Mark.
We're in the midst of our registration process. We opened it up for town residents on Monday and today. Beaver Creek is filled up. We're at capacity there. It goes quick. All other parks are still have open enrollment. We have open enrollment tomorrow for everyone else, primarily Victor Canandaigua residents. We'll have that open enrollment for Wednesday, and then we'll continue enrollment for those that, you know, did not follow directions very well and register these 3 days, which always happens. We are finishing up our hiring process. We just have 1 or 2 assistants that we need to hire for the summer, but our core is set. Our staff meeting is June 7th, where our park leaders will go through first aid CPR that is required by the Department of Health. And we'll do a general staff meeting with the rest to go over the, you know, our expectations of the town of Farmington for that. And our program starts on June 30th. Along with that, right around the corner is July 3rd fireworks. I've been fielding questions for, you know, vendors. We're gonna have a new one, Pat's Barbecue from, I think they're out of Mendon. Has inquired on that. I don't know if we finalized with that, but they reached out to do that, and we'll have our usuals there with burgers and you know, cotton candy and popcorn, the usuals with that. And music, we're working on with that. They have not gotten back to reach out to them, but those are retired folks. They, you know, they work at a different speed than everyone else. So, so we will, once I get that solidified, I'll let everybody know on that.
All right.
It's coming from a guy that's retired, you know that.
I'm still working, aren't I? I'm still working.
How are the enrollment numbers looking compared to other years?
We're about the same. I would say, you know, numbers wise with, money brought in, we're at about 40,000 after 2 days. So that's pretty good. Like I said, there's like 83 at Beaver Creek. I want to say Pumpkin Hook is going to be general because I haven't gone through the numbers of today. It's probably around 50. Mertensia is probably at 50. Farmbrook's right around the 30 range. We're slow at Town Park, and that's something we'll probably have to reassess with numbers wise if the numbers don't come up at Town Park.
It was pretty slim last year.
It was slim last year. We had probably 15. Numbers have been slow. There has not been a lot that registered yesterday or today for that. So we may have to reassess and say, you know, we can go bigger at, you know, Beaver Creek if we move staff there. The Department of Health has certain rules and regulations based on supervision, you know, 1 to 10 ratio. And it may be better for us to make those moves in order to meet more the needs of the citizens of Farmington if there's a bigger push for Beaver Creek.
Obviously, for the town park, they can go to Pumpkin Hook, or they can go in the other direction.
Correct, and that's, you know, the one thing is Town Park at one time, before Beaver Creek, before Mertensia, it was, people came to Town Park. It was the closest park for them. But now that those parks are open, obviously, it's closer to their home and they're utilizing those parks.
All right, great, thanks. And tonight, nobody from Agricultural Advisory Committee. Next item on the agenda, communications are on file, reports and minutes are on file. And we'll get into the resolution. First resolution, declaring miscellaneous equipment from various offices of surplus will be disposed of or discarded. So moved. Second. Motion by Mike, second by Nick. All in favor?
Aye.
Second resolution, scheduling the May 27th town board meeting to the 28th, which is a Wednesday.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Steve. This is a request of the assessor to use this room for the Board of Assessment Review on Tuesday night. They have to meet by law on that date. We're moving our meeting to Wednesday, the 28th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Read resolution, recall and amend resolution 143, 2025 for refurbishments to the baseball, softball fields.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Mike. Again, just a slightly change to the cost from the resolution that we approved. Okay.
So it's bulk material.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution number 4, accepting the monthly report of the supervisor for April 2025.
So moved.
Second. By Mike, second by Nate. Any questions there? All in favor?
Aye.
Five is a resolution authorizing a partial release of funds. It's release number 1 on a letter of credit for the site improvements at Creekwood Town Home Project. Phase 2 in the total amount of $61,160.89.
Second.
By Steve, second by Ron. Any questions there? All in favor?
Aye.
6 is the resolution accepting the final 2024 audit reports from MMB Company for the town of Farmington, the annual Farmington Water Fund, and the single audit.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Steve. Any questions on the audit? All in favor?
Aye.
7 is a resolution authorizing a change of title for highway employee Jacob Smith from MEO Light to MEO with a pay increase of $3 an hour to $24 an hour, and that's effective with payroll of 11.
So, second.
Motion by Ron, second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
8 is a resolution to approve the purchase of a plate tamper for the excavator at a cost not to exceed $4,057.18.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Steve, and that's for the water and sewer department. All in favor?
Aye.
Next page, number 9, resolution to approve purchase of plug valve replacements for the digester isolation valves for the new exchanger at a cost not to exceed $4,190. Motion by Ron, second by Nate. Questions there? All in favor?
Aye.
As a resolution authorizing the water and sewer superintendent to hire an MEO at a rate of $24 per hour effective May 19th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 11 is resolution authorizing the Highland Park superintendent to purchase playground equipment and rubber mulch for Farmbrook Park under the Oneida contracts at a cost not to exceed $59,000.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Ron. Questions there? All in favor?
Aye.
All of the resolution authorizing the Highland Park superintendent to purchase playground equipment and rubber mulch for the Farmington Grove Park under the Omni contracts at a cost not to exceed $90,000.
So moved.
Motion by Mike, second by Nate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I did get a question on the farm group park. Somebody was like, why are you spending more money? Those are fine. We actually make annual inspections that the parks people have to do. And Tim told me that's one of the oldest pieces of playground equipment we have. It's more than due for replacement. Not, there's 2 sets there.
Okay, I was gonna say, one of them was just changed a year or 2 ago.
Right. It's the other set that didn't get replaced.
The other old one that's,
Which that must be in the back.
no, it's right next to the other one.
13 is a resolution designating lead agency status under the provisions of Article 8, New York State Environmental Conservation Law, Part 617, State Environmental Quality Review Regulations for the town of Farmington wastewater treatment plant. This is a 2025 rehab project designating lead agency, directing the preparations of parts 2 and 3 of the full environmental assessment forms for the town board's review, and accepting and directing the preparation of draft resolutions for the town board's review and accepting and making a determination of significance therein.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Nate, second by Mike, yeah, it was a mouth. Any questions there? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 14 is abstract 9. Pay the bills. General fund, $215,853.57. Highway fund, $251,470.41. Cranberry Drive water line, $3,799. Cranberry Drive road cost, $3,799. Sidewalk capital project, $890.39. Town hall capital project, $2,107. Water tank repair, $21,038.85. Storm drainage, $3,435.50. Lighting district, $889.68. Sewer district, $93,158.30. Water district, $83,284.10. Payroll deductions, $18.34. For a total abstract, $679,744.14. Can I have a motion to approve the bills?
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Ron. Any questions, any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We also have listed training under $100. Any other discussion? Any other concerns to the town board? We do have waiver of rules for resolutions. Are there any objections? Okay. Hearing none. Resolution 1 under waiver of the rule is resolution acknowledging the addition of new members of the Farmington Volunteer Fire Association. So, motion by Mike, second by Steve, and it's Colin O'Malley and Timothy Stryker, new members of the Farmington Volunteer Fire Association. Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2 under waiver of the rule, resolution to award a contract for the Cranberry Drive road reconstruction and water main replacement with J&R Excavation LLC.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Ron. Again, the bids were taken, actually the second lowest bid was $8,000 away from this bid, so the 2 lowest bids were very close. MRB checked all the references for JMR excavation and everything looks good. Any comments or questions on that? All in favor? Aye. Reads the resolution adopting local law 5 of 2025. This is adopting a local law 115, the Farmington Town Code to be entitled Short-Term Residential Rentals and Regulations.
Second.
Motion by Steve, second by Mike. Again, we did have public hearings on this. And we've changed a few things based on county planning board recommendations and New York state laws. Any questions on this? All in favor? Aye. And 4 is a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign an intermunicipal agreement regarding the municipal separate storm sewer system MS4 inspection services with the town of Canandaigua.
So second.
Motion by Ron, second by Mike. This basically is where we're talking about splitting an employee between Canandaigua and Farmington, or at least this year, and next year, and if we can find a candidate to fill the position, we'll move forward with your approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I have no executive session tonight. 8:01, it would take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Which my name is, second by Mike, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.